Welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast here live at the MIC. We're so excited to be here again. As always, don't forget, don't drown to see a transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline. I am honored to be here with my co-host, Keith. How you doing today, Keith?
I am living the dream. Yourself?
It's always a dream. Always a dream. And we brought back former co-host and still, what do we call you?
I don't know.
You're on the bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
The right-handed reliever.
There you go.
There you go. Eric Brew back with us today. How you doing today, Eric?
Brother, if I was any better, I'd be twins. I'm so pumped to be here.
You gonna do your tagline?
Not yet.
No? Okay.
No, we'll get there.
We'll get there? All right. So we are honored to have a couple of guests with us here that are doing some wonderful things in transition. They're not necessarily known in transition yet. They're doing great things, and they're kind of behind the scenes in some cases. But they're doing amazing things, and a lot of you know who they are, which is awesome. And if you don't know who they are, hopefully after this you are following them, because you need to be. You need to be connecting with them, and you need to be learning what they're doing. So we'll start. We got Kingsley Scott with us today. Kingsley, how you doing?
I am living the dream. I'll tell you what. I'm going to be cheesing from ear to ear, so I can't believe that I'm actually on the stage to get to share my passion and to share why I'm here. So thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Love what you're doing, brother, and really excited to hear some of your advice today. And then, of course, we got Matthew Wee with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing actually great. I'm glad to be up here with everybody that helped me out in my transition, and to see everybody here in the audience doing this, and just taking that time to take care of each other and yourselves.
Outstanding. All right, so let's start with really a basic question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we go anywhere, Shawn, pitter patter, let's get at her.
There you go. You need to come up with a tagline. Although he has a logo, you didn't have a logo on the show, so yeah, you brought the logo. All right, so let's start with probably a basic question, and that is, what would be the first thing you would recommend to somebody starting their transition? And we'll start with you, Kingsley. Just what is your first thought on that?
It's accept the transition. I know when I was transitioning out back in 2018, I still wanted to be part of the active duty service, but my time came to an end, so to actually accept, to let go. And I remember we had that talk like, dude, just accept it and just let it go, and just kind of, because it's like you're driving down the road, but then the wheel is pulling to the right, you're pulling to the left. Just let go. It's going to course correct because the road is going straight. So just accept it.
Jesus, take the wheel.
But I'd say for myself, it's perseverance. There's a lot going on. When I transitioned out, it was during 2021, during COVID timeframe. And when I did the transitional courses, it was online through WebEx. So I had to have that perseverance to just continue moving on and find my path to where I wanted to be. And like Kingsley over here, the time came where I could not stay longer in the United States Marine Corps. I wanted to stay past 20 years. I could not do it because I could not make the next rank I wanted. So just having that, the patience, the perseverance, just to move on and be kind to yourself.
That's awesome, yeah. And I love the perseverance piece, right? Because when I'm talking with folks, I like to use the analogy that transition is like a knife fight, right? So when we train, when I train security teams as well, so when we get the knife fight portion, we teach them you need to expect to get cut. Going into a knife fight, you need to expect to get cut, because if you don't expect it going in, it's going to inevitably happen. And if you're not expecting it, you're going to, one, possibly go into shock, but two, you're at least going to focus on the pain of that cut. And yeah, you're going to take your mind off of the fight at hand. Transition is no different, right? There's going to be failure at some point in transition. That first resume review will be brutally honest and break your spirit to will to live almost. And that first job application will fall flat. The first job interview may not call for the job offer, but hopefully not all happening in succession, right? But yeah, going into it knowing that at some point you're gonna fail at something. So when it does happen, it's like, oh, there it was. Pick myself up, brush myself off, and keep on going. That's great advice, Matthew. So, all right. So, what would be so what's that? So, what would be the single most important resource that you two found in your transition that was available to you?
Well, the funny thing was I did not find this resource until 3 years after my transition. right? So, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Alfredo's Coffee House because that resource right there, I tell you what, if I would have had that during my transition time, it would have been a little bit easier because I was trying to figure it out, right? As a CNCO, you know, we figure like, man, we got this stuff locked in, man. And, you know, I was a CNCO in the military, you know, I got it all figured out. But once you transition, you can't keep talking that military talk, right? You can't because they're not gonna understand it. So for me, when I was in the Air Force, I did law enforcement, investigations, and career advisor. So I had to figure out in my 20 and a half years, what did I achieve and what can be utilized on the outside? And ironically, what's this, 6 years later, I'm the director of career services that help people transition to IT. And I use everything from the military, from Alfredo's Coffee House, from Matt, even from you when you came to talk to us, right? Like
From me.
Even from you. I was like, man, so if you pick up stuff from Eric, like this is phenomenal to where how it just all comes back together years later to see that the actual trust in the process, and that's why I have to say, just trust the process. You might not know the process now, but it's gonna be revealed to you. Just trust the process.
All right, what about you, Matthew?
It's hard to name just 2 resources because I could see in the audience a lot of organizations here that actually helped me grow during my transition. I could say during the COVID time frame, because I don't know how many Marines are in the audience right now. Yeah, but
Go ahead, talk to your brother.
nah, but I'm just saying too. Like, we are not stubborn. We're not stubborn people, right? Marines are not stubborn at all. Yeah, we could take advice from anybody in the world and be fine with it. No, but seriously though.
That's sarcasm for those of you that don't know.
But seriously, it took me just going through that motion of trying to find all these resources, getting myself out there, getting myself past the transition classes online, and reaching out to thousands or a few organizations to include 4Block, Veterati, Vest2 Industry, Act Now Education, Travis Mann Foundation, the Key Community, Vet CTAP. There's actually a lot more. Like during my transition, I actually did maybe 20 to 30 to 40 probably different organizations, reached out to still serving veterans when you were there, reached out to Alfredo Torres when I was in the Hampton Roads area. So, all these organizations I found, utilized, and helped myself and others. But I had to get past that stubbornness because I still wanted to, like I said, stay in the Marine Corps past 20 years. I could not get, like I said, I could not get gunnery sergeant, and that killed me. But I had to move on, and I had to persevere and have that patience to myself, which was tough.
So I got an important question just for you because you touched on something. You said I couldn't get to gunnery sergeant, right? Since you retired, since you've been out of the Marine Corps, how many people have asked you, did you get to the gunnery sergeant?
None, just myself.
That's weird, right? I love you, man. All right, next question. You ready?
Let's go.
You
brother. I'm
better
ready.
be ready.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What was the one thing that took you by surprise going into transition?
You just hit on it. I was falling behind the rank, right? But once you transition, they don't ask you what rank you are. They don't care if you're enlisted, if you're officer. Can you do the job or not? Can you handle the responsibilities or not? Can you go and make sure whatever company you're a part of, can you make that line go up, right? That's why I say you have to use your resources, right? So if you're an NCO, CNCO, it doesn't matter. In the military, reduction of costs, saving funds, manning personnel. Like if you could do that for the organization that you're trying to be a part of, is a win. So that's. What about you, Matt?
What was the question again?
He's a Marine. I'm going to talk a little slower. What was the one thing that took you by surprise the most as you went through transition?
Like you said, too, nobody cares about your rank. Nobody really pays attention to it. It's just yourself. But that all these companies and organizations, when I got out, I spent time doing a fellowship, did a skill bridge program, learning about sales skills, and then also working with the Hampton Roads Veteran Employment Center. When I finally got out from the Marine Corps, did a fellowship with Hill Vets program on Capitol Hill, where they appreciated what you were doing, learned about everything that they're doing in the DC area. So I helped out with defense and veterans issues. And then also when I became a contractor, Department of Defense, was amazing how they actually care about you and just more what you do and what you provide. And then finally was able to get a job that I wanted, was to help from Alfredo's Coffee House and Hope White was the federal employment working. That, like I said, the patience is the journey. Patience is what's important, because it took 3 months or 2 months for an interview, 9 months afterwards for this position, and I finally got the notice here at the Military Influence Conference in Vegas. So
I remember.
Yeah. So it's just the patience and having that, the idea that, just being there at the moment, just being there for yourself and others as much as you can. Just forgive yourself and just move on.
That's good. That reminds me of a theory you and I have talked about a couple of times, and I like to call it the matching clothes syndrome, right? Whether you were in for 4 years or 24 years, it doesn't matter, right? Everywhere we went, every time we PCS'd, every time we took a new position, every time we had new people around us, you either knew somebody, you were served with somebody, you had the same job as somebody, you knew people that knew people, you were at previous duty stations together. But even if you had nothing in common with the people that were around you, you were all wearing the matching clothes. You had something in common with everybody around you. And as you step out of service, what you guys are describing is recognizing that you don't match a whole lot of people anymore. And you got to figure out who you are.
You want to know something, bro? If you look up here, I just realized that we all have black shirts on. Shawn, you didn't even tell, like, hey, everybody wear black shirts today. Like, it just been embedded. Like,
it's in us.
It's in us. Hey, I love, just look around. You see what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Great minds think alike.
Syndrome, man.
Yeah.
And ours do too.
It just happens.
So I love that question too. What is the biggest surprise? Because for me, and it's going to lead into my question too, is biggest surprise for me coming out was nobody owed me a job. Right? As veterans, we have that sense of entitlement sometimes about us, especially if we did 20 years, reach senior NCO status or senior officer status, and we get out thinking we're entitled to a job. We're entitled to a lot, right? I agree. Our nation owes our veterans so much, but employment's not one of them, right? And we have to earn that one. And that was one of the biggest shockers for me, and it was hard for me because my transition is such, I won't go down the story, but I basically had to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up all over again, because what I thought I wanted to do was no longer available to me during my transition. So with that said, we'll start with you, Matt. So what would you say to the service members that are transitioning out right now that don't necessarily know what they want to be when they grow up? What would be your advice to them? Because the other thing too is, right, we can do it all. Right, yeah. Jacks of all trades, that's what the military makes us, right? So we think we can come out and do it all, and we can, but employers don't hire jacks of all trades. So what would you say to the folks that don't necessarily know exactly what they want to do?
I'd say the first thing, like that, I went through that as well, and I had to get over myself and figure things out, and I had to utilize those resources to the point where that it just had to be done. I just had to be able to move on. I mean, like the biggest thing I keep bringing up is the perseverance, the patience, and just having an idea that you can do everything you want to do, especially in the service. You do everything, but you got to find the right thing you need to do. Just at once, because if you try to do too many things at once, it's going to get caught up. And I've been through that where I had the syndrome where I wanted to do everything, and I sometimes still have it because I like being that way. I like to be busy. I like to stay, volunteer. I'm here volunteering with, Vets Industry, Act Now, and even the MIC. So it's like I just still want to continue to help support veterans and service members, and I do that too in my current position in the Department of State. But yeah, it's just you just gotta get over yourself. You just gotta take that advice. It doesn't matter what rank you are, you're gonna need that support and you're gonna need that help, because it's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen quick, because that 20 years, 30 years, or even 1 year will go by as quickly as possible, and it's difficult.
I know from my experience, being a CNCO, I was coming to expect a certain level of employment after service. The young case, Scott, I was like, I had to eat crow, so I came in as an intern, right? And a lot of people like, well, no, you don't need to go that route, but I had to do what was best for me because I had to build back up my confidence. My confidence was shot, because I thought I knew 21 years in the Air Force. I'm like, yo, I know this stuff. I know management. I know leadership. I know this. I know that. But when I had to transition over, you know what they told me? You don't know anything. This is the civilian sector, right? So I said, I'll tell you what. I'll take an internship to show you my passion, to show you what I bring to the table, and I guarantee you I would not be here long. And what I mean by that, in that position. So from intern, I went to advisor. From advisor, I went to lead advisor. From lead advisor, I went to director. Right? So, and it keeps going, and I share that with other veterans and people that transition. It's okay to hit the reset button. You don't have to stay there. You can stay there if you want. You know, if you feel comfortable, that's fine, but you don't have to stay there. But it's just to show people to take a chance on you, because somebody is going to take a chance on you when somebody is not. But in order for them to take the chance on you, you have to take a chance on yourself. So,
outstanding. That's such a great story. Yeah, definitely. Give him a round of applause. So, give you guys both a chance to brag a little bit, okay? Tell the audience, tell our viewers, why should transitioning service members seek you out and follow you? Tell them about the stuff you're doing and how you're willing to help them.
Man. And I'm looking for my support system is over there, and she's hiding because she said something is great is gonna happen, and then when it's time, it's time. So Hope, I'm just letting you know it's time.
There you go.
Ever since when I was in the military and when I was going through my mental health battle and struggles, I told myself I have to make my dash count. And somebody asked me, what does that mean? And I told them, I said, everybody knows when you come, right, the meet and greet, how you doing, welcome you to the unit. And they know when you go, send off, you know. But what did you do in between, that dash? And I tell everybody the most important thing on the headstone, most important thing on a plaque is that dash, because it sums up how did you leave that organization, how did you leave that situation, did you leave it better than how you found it? And that's what I told myself. I said, when I transitioned, I was down, yeah. But then, like I said, when I found Alfredo, when I found Hope, when I found everybody, y'all know who I'm talking about, right? Because everybody, yeah. And everybody has their story and their journey. I just thought it was me. And then when I figure out, like, yo, everybody has their story and journey, but they're making their dash count, right? Because before I close my eyes and I stop breathing, I want to make sure I leave it better than how I found it, right? So, so I have my own, I'm starting up a little small thing, Phoenix Solution Enterprise, besides what I'm doing as a director. But I said I'm going to do confidence building and consulting, right? Because I know what it's like for that transition. So when I was speaking to my little daughter, 13 years old, she said, Poppy, what are you going to name the company? I said, baby, I'm going to name it Phoenix Solutions Enterprise, rising from the ashes. Because sometimes people have to see, you know how you have some people sit back like, oh, let me see what he's going to do, you know what's going to happen. And then when they see you rise, like, well, if he could do it, why can't I? So I just want to be that why can't I? That's all I have to share there.
I'm going to tell you, dude, as one of the very early conversations that you and I had, you were never going to stay in the ashes. You were never going to stay. Hey, you better be careful. This might be a new co-host. All right, Matthew, your shot.
So for myself, I never expected to be up here in this live podcast. As for those who know me, I'm not really a big talker. Okay, thank you, audience. So, never really expected this to happen. Never really, saw myself out there as somebody who wants to be in the limelight. I always liked being in the background, because in my Marine Corps career, I've been that personnel administration, the training and operations with the security forces, and then the foreign area staff non-conventional program, where I do stuff, in the background, helping other people out, not normally worrying about myself all the time. I was a staff NCO, I took care of Marines, and that's what I did for 20-something years. I enjoyed it most immensely. So it's not something I wanted to leave, but like I said, I had to make that determination. But for myself, it was just finding this community of people from Alfredo's Coffee House VET Industry, and Act Now, Travis Manion Foundation, the Key Community, all these organizations that supported me through my journey. But what I'm doing now is a lot of my stuff I'm doing has not been something that I thought I would be doing. Like I did a fellowship in Capitol Hill with the United States House of Representatives. Not a lot of veterans on the Hill. It's something I saw during my transition, and it's something I wanted to support. And then I became a contractor supporting the Ted Stevens Center for Arctic Security Studies, being an event planner. And it was something I did throughout my career too as well. But where I'm currently at now, I'm a civil service foreign affairs officer in the Department of State in Washington, D.C., where I do a lot of different things. I get involved with many different organizations, including Veterans for All Voters that are here at the MIC, and different organizations as well. And then for personally, volunteer with many different organizations, continue to give back, including ones at my Department of State was my Veterans at State, Veteran Support Program, and all these organizations. But it's just other stuff too. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I have ideas that I'm doing, or organizations and companies I want to create and eventually do. But I just still want to continue to get back into myself as well and learn that yes, you could take care of other people, but you got to take care of yourself first.
That's great. And I will say that it seemed like you went from hiding to all of a sudden being involved in everything. Like I see you everywhere now. Oh, there you go.
All or nothing.
You're now the butterfly.
So what I keep hearing across this entire panel, though, is networking, right? The journeys that we're hearing and the things that you folks have done and that you're continuing to do, it's all through networking, right? So what advice, again, would you give to our service members or even our veterans that are out that are maybe just still trying to find their way? We've all heard it, right? It's who you know, not what you know. But what advice would you give them on what practical application would you tell them to do in making those connections and expanding that network where they want to go?
I'll say just show up. Just show up. Even if you don't say anything, just show up. What's that say, Eric? Hey, if you're at the barbershop long enough, eventually you'll get a haircut, right? You just gotta, yeah. you just have to show up, right? Because when I first was trying to learn this civilian process, I just went a lot of places. I just sat there and I listened. And I jotted down what was important to me. And every time I heard it again, guess what I did? I put an asterisk next to it. Another asterisk. And then I say, for me, I'm in tech. I was in law enforcement and a career advisor. How did I end up in tech? Because that tech kept coming up and coming up and coming up. So I like, you know what? I need to go explore that. And then it took me to this path right here. So I just say, just show up. At the end of the day, just show up because you're there. And once you hear the information, you'll jot it down, and it's going to come back to you because somebody's going to remind you. Somebody's going to come back and say something else. And 3, 4, 5 people say the same thing at different times with something must be true, right? Something. So what about you, Matt?
I mean, you basically said it. Just show up. I mean, I'm the one he's talking about. Where I'll show up, sit there in the background, and just show my face, or not even my face, my photo, and maybe say a few words here and there. But I say, I'm still growing on that. But I'll just take advice from the Hamilton musical. Just be in the room when it happens. Just be there.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. So I'm going to ask you both, because we all know there's tons of resources, right, that they can use. So I'm going to ask you for your top 5 resources for a transition, but I'm going to give you 2.
Okay.
Number 1 is they should seek you guys out. That's number 1. Number 2, they need to listen to VET S.O.S.
Yes.
All right, so from there,
Yes.
What's your last 3?
give the last 3.
You go first, Matt. It's on you.
So 3 organizations.
That you would recommend people go to. No pressure, because there's some organizations here that might get offended. No pressure at all.
I would say first and foremost, because no bias, that I'm being their events director, VET Industry. And then the Key Community, and also Act Now Education.
Okay. All right. 3 fantastic organizations.
For me, it will be ACP, American Corporate Partners, because without them, once again, I would not be here, right? So it's a little bit of everything, but they was the first organization that took the chance on me as me seeking a mentor, and then now me being a mentor to pay it forward. So I see how that organization is helping the veteran and transition community. And then, I got to give a shout out to Alfredo's Coffee House, because y'all don't have to go nowhere, because that's where the library is at, okay? So y'all come to the library. Y'all going to get pointed in locations where, just in case we forget our other things, but definitely VET S.O.S industry as well, because Brian and I, we're both coming from the same career field. And I'll just give y'all a quick story, because I know we're running down on time. When he said that he was going to start VET S.O.S industry, I was transitioning out. I was in my mental health phase. And I said, man, whatever, but I'm going to be in the background supporting you. But he kept pushing. Now, from 2019 to now, look where VET S.O.S industry is at. Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal, right? Because it's not just one person. It's not one person. And just like I met you at the academy, you came on, but then it's just building that. It's like a spider web. Keeps growing and growing and growing, because if I don't know somebody, guess who I'm going to hit up? Matt. Guess who I'm going to hit up? Eric. Guess who I'm going to hit up? Shawn. You see what I'm saying? I don't know, but I know somebody who knows. So those are my top three, right? ACP, Alfredo's, and VET S.O.S industry.
All right,
Alfredo's
fantastic. Great list of
Alfredo's Coffee
organizations.
House, I'm sorry. You're welcome.
All right, so we're coming down to the end. All right, so real quick, both of you give whatever parting words you want to give to our audience and transitioning service members, whatever recommendation you want to do. Real quick. The sound guy's ready to cut the mic.
Right. Accept the process, trust the process, and whatever you do, make sure that you make your dash count.
There you go.
I love that one. But be kind and patient with yourself, because it was something I had to go through, and it was something I'm still learning, still going through. But also, take care of yourself first and foremost, because yes, I like to do a lot of different things, but I have to take care of myself, and I'm still learning that, and you're still going to learn. It's been 3 years, and I'm still enjoying this journey where I go from wallflower to here on the podcast with VET S.O.S. Who can think this? I don't know if the audience that knows me would know this beyond here.
You're going to be hosting Alfredo's Coffee House next week. Get ready. I thought you needed a break, Alfredo. Just a break. Just a break. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but this week has been overwhelming for me, just to see how far we've come as an organization. We got over 120 episodes out. We've branched out into new formats. And then here we got over 27 alumni that have come to the MIC, which is just fantastic. It's been so heartwarming for me. And I owe it both to you guys and to Mark, who's not here. Eventually we'll get him on one of these things. But just the fact that you guys have helped us grow this, and your heart's there to give back, and how much you love this community, and all the guests we've had. We couldn't be here without you. We appreciate all your input and all your guidance. And I've told you all many times, my transition was smooth because I was listening to all your horror stories. You guys saved me and really helped me out. This podcast was a huge blessing for me, and I appreciate everything you guys have done.